Welcome back to Rise and Grind. Today is a topic that I don't think I've actually touched on before, at least not in this way. I've definitely talked about God, I've definitely talked about manifestation, but I'm not sure I've ever talked about them through the lens that we will be doing today. And I know for a long time I felt really torn, like I had to pick between believing in manifestation or fully believing in God. I didn't feel like I could really surrender to God while also exploring manifestation and personal power. And so I just want to say off the bat, this episode is for any woman, any queen that feels that way too. This is not an episode where I'm going to claim to have all the answers. I am not going to pretend to be a professional in the religious realm, but I will say, having had a relationship with God and also being pretty much an expert of manifestation, this topic is something that I wish someone had talked to me about a couple of years ago when I was really navigating this sort of tension between these two topics. So, again, this episode is not to convince you of anything. It is just a safe space for women who are maybe struggling with their belief in God and feeling drawn to manifestation at the same time. So if you are a woman who just wants to explore this a little deeper, you're wondering if it's okay, I'm here to tell you it is okay. And this conversation today, and it is a conversation, it is not just me. I am joined today by Kenzie Lewallen, who is just my girl, you guys. Like, I wish I could just, I wish you lived here, Kenzie, honestly. But
Same.
but Kenzie is so similar to me in that she is infusing God and science to regulate nervous systems for her clients. She is also an EFT practitioner and the host of the She Is You podcast. And honestly, guys, she's just a queen. She is the perfect person to have this conversation with. So she is joining me today. Kenzie, you're here. Hi.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here with you.
I'm excited too. I feel like this is going to be a very fun episode. And also, I really mean it when I say I think you're the perfect person to join me here because you are one person that we've talked about this before. We have discussed how separate God and manifestation can be in a lot of people's marketing. But you and I have always kind of dabbled in the middle space. So I feel like this is just going to be so much fun and so nice for other queens who feel that way too to hear from both of us. So give us a little more info about you. And then I really want to hear about your sort of journey between faith and curiosity and manifestation and the energy work world.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here with you. So, I feel like I struggled with this hard. And that's why when you talked to me about doing this episode, this is something that weighs heavy on my heart because I feel like there are so many women out there today who I stress this so much. And it's like if you've had a bad experience with religion, it's like you turn your back to God. And to me, I had the same thing. Like I was trying to get closer to God and like during this time I was trying right away I feel like people think of religion like oh let me try and find God there. And I had one of the worst experiences to where I did for a little bit I turned my back on God and I was like if this is what God is about like I want nothing to do with it. And I felt like that was a spiritual attack. Like that was the devil like winning like yeah, we just turned her and it was like this constant battle of healing my inner wounds that came all the way from childhood from like being forced to go to Sunday school and just do all these things and trying to be this religion because my friends were and I was trying to be cool and never really understanding. And when I found what manifestation was, I was like this is prayer. Like this is literally me talking to God. And it was a lot of growth. I went through a time where I struggled with addiction super bad and I was suicidal and I was in a domestic violence relationship and I was just at my wit's end. And I remember praying like I need you, God. Like if you're there, if you're listening, if you can hear me and you're real, like I either need you to just take it take it from my hands and like be I need to be done or I need you to give me the strength because I cannot do this on my own. And in that moment, it's like I had this vision of, and it's so, and that's the only way I could describe it because I feel like I've always waited for like that moment. Like I want God to call me on the phone and be like, "Hey, girl, like this
For
is what you
real.
need to do." And it was like I had a vision, and I'm going to tell you the vision because it at the time I was not a mom. I didn't even like think about becoming a mom, and I was struggling with like I with alcoholism, and I just wanted to party and I didn't want anyone to tell me what to do. And I was drinking and driving and all these things. And it was like I saw me being in a wreck and there was a mom and a daughter in the other car that like I wrecked into, and it was just like not the full details, but I know that that's what it was. And it was almost like we were watching a TV and like the static was going out. And now I have a daughter. I am a mother to a daughter, and it's like God was showing me that. And I don't know, it was just that moment that I needed to know that if you keep going down this path, like this is what life's going to be. You're going to have some hardships over here, but you got to just listen. And I feel like that's the moment where I really started believing in God.
Yeah, 100%. It's so interesting too because I think almost everyone who has struggled with their belief in God, especially as a result of religion, has had a moment like that where it's like there is literally no way it was anything other than God that could have made that happen. Or like there is no
Yeah.
other explanation that could possibly exist than it being a God thing. And I know for a fact I've had experiences like that where you almost can't even explain it. It's like this unexplainable just sense of peace, but also understanding.
Hmm.
And I do think you have to be kind of, at times, you almost have to be like at rock bottom a little bit to hit that
Yeah.
point because you have to be so willing to look for any sign that's like, okay, God, whatever. Like, if you're real, I need a sign right now, like, help me kind of thing. And it takes getting to that point to be able to actually be open to it as well, which is kind of interesting.
100%, because it's like before I didn't feel like I needed God. I've always believed in God and like believed in the thought of God and like I did all the things, but I was like I got this. Like I remember saying as like a 19-year-old fresh out of high school, and I was like I'm going on to bigger and better things. Like I remember feeling invincible. I was like nothing and no one is ever going to tell me what to do again. Like I got this. I thought I was the shit.
Mhm.
Like in the worst way ever. And I feel like it was literally I needed to get like Thor slammed back down to earth before I was like, okay, God, like I need you. And it was, I was so desperate. And I knew that I couldn't do it alone. Like I needed something bigger than myself. And that's why I always hear like people teeter tottering. And I've talked to a lot of people about like having a bad experience with religion. And they say, like, they pray, but it's too like and I'm not saying it's wrong. I just know like you believe in God. Like if you believe in the universe and if you believe in manifestation and source and light and all of these things, like that is God. It's just maybe we had a bad experience of church people saying like you need to do it this way or you need to do it that way or religion. And it's like just getting through that and healing that and knowing like that's actually the exact opposite of God is when these people are pushing and forcing you. And when you get through that, it's like you enter, I feel like a whole other side of God.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think it's kind of interesting because I think it was Gina DeVee was maybe the first person I heard say this, but she opens a lot of her podcast episodes with a prayer, but she also talks a lot about manifestation. And she was a huge source of inspiration to me that you could have both. She was sort of the first person that started to get me wondering, like, okay, maybe I could kind of live in the middle here. But she says, God, source, universe, that's
Mhm.
kind of like interchangeable.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people feel very confined. And I know that that for me was actually probably the biggest feeling. I felt kind of boxed in by either one or the other. I felt boxed in by the idea that believing in manifestation and believing in energy and believing that, we can really change our life with our thoughts. I felt boxed in by doing that without God. But
Hmm.
then I also felt boxed in by the idea that you couldn't believe in God while also knowing that manifestation is real. And so that sort of confinement, I think, is really what I want every woman to break away from. Like you don't have to shove yourself into a box
Yeah.
and you don't have to treat manifestation and faith like they're enemies. To me, they're like partners. They're like buddies and they
Yeah.
can work together. And It's interesting. I have some scripture here that I feel like is just perfect for this conversation. And when I was, putting together my notes for this episode, I knew that I wanted to include these things because these were things that I needed to hear, back then. But one of my favorite things, and one of my clients sent this to me actually a few weeks ago and was like, Carly, this is literally exactly what you're teaching as manifestation. And I was like, oh my God, it is. And it's from Mark 11. And it says, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you've received it and it will be yours. If that isn't manifestation in a Bible verse, like I don't know what is.
Yeah.
I really don't. So, I would love to hear, Kenzie, from you, like your sort of blending your belief in God with manifestation and after you kind of realized, okay, I know you said manifestation is like prayer before, but I would love to hear more of your feelings on that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you came with the facts
I
too. And
did.
I was actually looking up too, and I know in it's John 3:21, and in some like ways that the Bible's written, it specifically says the word manifest. And I felt like, and I've heard some people say like that even meditation is kind of like where they become like, oh, if you're believing God, you don't manifest. And if you manifest, you can't believe in God. And it's like meditation somehow got like thrown in to manifestation. And like it was just a whole nother world. And it specifically says in the Bible, like Jesus would go by himself and meditate, like on God's word and on God's guidance. And for me, I talked a lot about this and I almost like hated the word manifest for a long time. I feel like with social media, it's just thrown around so crazy and with like zero context. Like you have these people that are like, if you want to make $30 billion in 27 seconds, click here. And I'm just like, what?
Literally. I'm going to teach you through manifestation how to do it.
Yes. And it's just, I feel like that was a lot of kind of what gave it, just the same way with God. Religion gave God a bad rep, and these, I don't even know what to call them, like gave manifestation a bad rep. So for me, I feel like the same way, just how you said in that Bible verse, when you are manifesting something and when you want something, I pray to God. Whether it's like right now, I'm manifesting a minivan, which I never in my life would have thought I would ever say. And it's crazy because now we're here. We're at this stage in parenthood where we're just like, it's so smart. Like the doors, a whole nother topic, but I'm like, that's what and we've been praying on it. And I'm like, in God's timing, I know it's going to happen. And that is to me, like, I'm manifesting it. And the same thing with all things. I pray to God and I'm like, okay, please guide me. I feel like a lot of time too, it's like, oh, I'm manifesting this and I'm just going to say it into the universe and that's all. I'm not going to do anything about it and oh, it's just going to happen. And it's like, that is the biggest lie ever. It's like, whether if you're manifesting it, it's like you move in a way that is setting you up for that. Everything that you do is setting yourself up for it to become reality. And it's the same way as like I manifest and I trust in God that you are guiding me on exactly what I need to do. And you are putting me on the path and giving me the opportunities and the next steps that I need to do in order to make this happen.
Mhm.
So just like you said, I intertwine it because I feel like it is. It's one.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And it's interesting because all of this is completely backed by brain science also. And I know that you talk a lot about science too. And obviously, you know me with my little like nerdy self with my neuroscience. But literally, manifestation is just your beliefs becoming reality. And when those beliefs are backed by the power of God, there's literally nothing that you can't do legitimately. Because when you are combining those two powerful things, not only are you using the power of God, where like you can surrender and you know that things are going to happen in divine timing. I love that you use that phrase. And at the same time, you're literally reinforcing all of that
Hmm.
possibility in your brain. Like it's all happening together at the
Yeah.
same time. And that's why people who truly believe in the power of God or the power of the universe or, whatever word people are using, when you truly believe that it can happen, that's why it happens.
Yeah.
Because you've told your brain this is possible, and then you do start to get guided. You do start to open your eyes to what the next step is supposed to be. And so really this sort of co-creation is happening. And I do think that there are a lot of people who are teaching manifestation as I'm in control of everything.
Hmm.
And do you have control of some things? Of course. Of course you do. Like you can control your actions and whatever. But like you don't have control of everything. And I
Yeah.
think that's also where it gets very misconstrued with the ability to believe in God at the same time also. I don't know. Did you have that experience where you kind of saw a lot of, you're like your own creator kind of thing?
Yeah. And I feel like, so it's so funny that you said this because literally yesterday, I've been watching, like, I don't know, I feel like the algorithm is not sending me alligators anymore. And it's like, it's giving me what I need. And a lot of it has been manifestation and God because I feel like this is something that I needed for so long. And I think I actually talked to you, like, you were one of the very first people that I saw infuse it. And I was like, who is this woman? Like, where did she come from? I need her. And in this video, it specifically says how we, and it says it in the Bible, we are made from God. We are one with God. And God is the creator. We are here to create, to co create. And it said something about like the devil is a consumer. And the way we are literally labeled by like the world is we are consumers. So it was just so funny for me because I'm like, I feel like social media is a blessing and a curse, but we get so sucked in the trap of like, I'm not good enough, or I need to have the next best thing, or no matter what I do, it's like not enough. And that is the devil. Like, literally, if you have that mentality, and this is the brain science coming in, you're never going to be satisfied
Mm-mm.
ever. And people think that, oh, it's just a quick fix of like money or a sexy man coming into your life or whatever it is that they're like manifesting. And it's like, if you have not rewired your brain to accept and hold that energy, you're going to either like one, piss it away, or you're just going to reject it. And this is why, like, the people who win the lottery, they're not ready for that. So many of them go bankrupt.
Hmm. Yeah.
And it's like their brains weren't ready to receive that.
Well, they don't feel safe
Yeah.
receiving it. They don't feel safe holding on to
Mhm.
it. And so when you haven't done, I mean, this is sort of like an added layer to this conversation that I think is also really relevant for both of us. When you haven't done the nervous system regulation, when you haven't done the healing work, it really doesn't matter what you can receive because you're not actually
Yeah.
going to be able to keep it. And
Hmm.
that's the other thing. It's like I think a lot of people have been hurt by religion, hurt by the church, and I really want to handle that delicately in this conversation because that is a very, very real thing. And I am 100% in belief of anyone who has stories like that.
Hmm.
And I completely I hear that and it hurts me. However, at the same time, God, as a separate entity from religion, is really just about love and about being enough and about grace for yourself and for others. And so many beliefs that are truly overlapping with the healing and mindset space anyway. And so I think this is sort of, again, like an added layer of this conversation. But when you haven't done the healing work, it's so hard to believe that God or manifestation can exist in general
Yeah.
because you might get things and then piss it away, or you
Yeah.
might not get things at all because you're really not ready to hold them. So I think
Mhm.
that's kind of an interesting um, sort of sidebar here.
So something that, and I use these examples all the time because I feel like visually they're the easiest to see and they fit into both God and manifestation. You are a queen, and I know you just manifested your dream car, so I'm gonna use that example. When you thought about the car that you wanted, it's like if you were thinking, I want a blue Tesla. It's like you're gonna start seeing blue Teslas all over the place. You're gonna be like, holy shit, I didn't know 10 of my neighbors had blue Teslas. And it's because our mindset is now focused on that. That is manifestation. It's like if you're wiring every single step throughout your day subconsciously to like, oh, blue Tesla, like slug bug. I remember whenever I was little, I was dominating. It's like, and it's like, it's not, we weren't looking for him. It's just, we knew about the game. We knew we could punch our little brothers if we saw one. Like, so our brains were like, oh, one right there. The
Hmm.
same thing with working out. It's like how people are just, oh, I'm manifesting this. If you said, I want to drop 100 pounds and be able to squat 300 pounds, and you're like, I'm manifesting it, and you go to the gym and you're like, I'm manifesting being able to squat 300 pounds, but you just like do the stair stepper. It's like you're not setting yourself up to receive that manifestation. The same thing is with all goals. It's like if you say you want this and this is what you're calling in, but you are not either setting yourself up to receive that, following in God's clear guidance steps that he's giving you, and doing the healing to hold that. It's like those three things are the Krabby Patty formula. It's like
Straight up.
it's allowing us to not only receive it but to hold it and to feel safe holding it, and just be at a place where it feels really good to receive it.
Yeah. I I have this thought that I want to address also, and I feel like this is a good transition here. Not only with my car, but with anything that I have worked toward and received. And I know that you have had this experience too. The thing that I had to let go of was the guilt of wanting more. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that a lot of people have that sort of feeling where they can't honor God and want more at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this concept, if you will, was also kind of a hard one at first for me. And it's interesting because I was having a conversation with a client recently who has had sort of a similar sort of like battle between believing in manifestation and also the brain science aspects of things and also trusting God and surrendering to God. And I would just love for you to like riff on this for a minute about God and sort of releasing the guilt of wanting more or even like the fear around things when you know logically like God can do anything and also we are also capable of so many things while also having the like okay, but what if it doesn't happen? Like
Yeah,
that whole topic, I would love to hear your thoughts on it.
I love that. I would honestly say, and this is the thing I struggled with most, is divine timing and trusting. And sometimes, like what I have had planned for my life, God was like, curveball, just kidding. Like, that's not for you, or it may not be for you yet. And so many people, like including myself, it's like, I want this. That does not mean that it's going to happen. I shared yesterday Mr. Beast, who infamous YouTuber, I feel like most people know him, posted like 455 videos before he finally like went viral and started. So that I feel like is a lesson to me. It's like maybe you have to do things that God is preparing you for over and over and over and over again until it feels like like what's happening, until we're ready to receive it or until it's that time. And it's like when you plant a seed and you boop, throw this little seed in the ground, cover it with some soil, pour some water. And then it's like, all right, where you at, seed? Like, I did what I was supposed to do. I gave you some water, some fertilizer. Like, why aren't you sprouting? And in reality, like, it may not happen for days or weeks or months or even years if you're growing like a citrus tree. And if we get lost in the sauce of the instant gratification of the Amazon Prime society that we live in now, and well, I want it and I want it now, and it's taking too long. It's like that's where I feel like the disconnect is. And I feel when we listen to God and we try, and that doesn't mean that every day is going to like be peachy and you're never going to have problems. But just how you said earlier, like when you believe in someone bigger than yourself, I feel like it becomes easier because you're not doing it alone.
Mm,
And
yeah.
I felt like honestly, like looking back at the way when I thought I was invincible, I was lonely because I was trying to do it all on my own. And there were times where I felt like I was all alone. And now if I have struggles now, I pray and to where God's probably like turning down the volume and like, okay, girl, because I am relentless. And it says like pray, but then also trust.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like that is, and it's so hard and it's so much easier said than done. But I always think of the little seed that if I just like gave up and stopped watering the seed when I didn't see this sprout come right out, it's never going to happen. But if I go out there and relentlessly, when I'm not seeing it, just keep watering and watering, like eventually it will sprout.
Yeah. Well, and it's so interesting because I said this in my I feel like we keep coming back to my car, but in the podcast episode
Yes.
where I shared the story of how I manifested it, I talked about how the power of God was a big piece of it and how it took longer than I really
Wow.
thought it would. And it was hard at times. And even like the week that I bought it, I was like 2 seconds away from just like going to look at different cars and like throwing in the towel and basically like having a temper tantrum out of impatience.
Hmm.
And I do think divine timing is difficult in an instant gratification mindset. And there are some things that can't be rushed. But again, I think that manifestation is being taught in a very like how to do this quickly way. And that
Yeah.
doesn't mean that no things happen quickly. Some things do.
Yeah.
Some things really like I have manifested things quickly in the past that surprised even me. But that doesn't mean that's always how it goes. And it's interesting because a lot of the time, I think if you have something that's really a big ask, if you will, like a brand new car or like a brand new house or something that just takes a little bit more time to exist, it is easy to say, well, it's just not working. Instead of like, this is a really big blessing or a really big manifestation or a really exciting new level for me. And it's taking its time because I'm on the journey to get there. Like
Yes. Oh
it's
my gosh.
not always like this punishment from God or that God's not listening or that God's not real or that manifestation doesn't work or like it's so much easier for people to be a skeptic than to just have faith.
Yeah, 100%. I love that you said journey because as you were saying it, the other day I had a moment where I'm like, I'm always, and I know you are, like, we're always working towards bigger and better and greater and more amazing. And like, how, and I am all about that. Like, I am 100% like a type A. Let's set some goals, make some shit happen. But I also feel like there's a very fine line of like getting so lost and not being grateful. Like, okay, I did it. Now what's next? Like, instead of celebrating it and realizing that the journey is actually the whole entire purpose.
Hmm.
Because I'm
Yeah.
sure you remember thinking back to all those moments, like when you were working to get your car and when it was happening and all the pieces. And you probably remember, like, oh my gosh, like I almost remember when I quit that moment, but I was persistent and I trusted God. And like you, I feel like that sticks out more than like if you just got it the same day.
Well, yeah. And I've said this before. It's been a while since I've said this on Rise and Grind though, that the wait time between when you decide what you want and when you actually get it, obviously it will vary, but that in between period is not an in between period at all. You're being molded during
Mm-hmm.
that time. You're not waiting, you're being formed.
Yes.
And I think people forget that when you want something, let's say you want to be more patient. This is a conversation that I stay having because I have been working toward being a more patient person basically since I started my healing journey. And what we expect is saying something like, okay, God, or okay, universe, or I'm manifesting more patience or whatever. And then to just be like handed patience. And it's
Yeah.
like, no, boo. You're going to be put in situations that create patience, that force you to learn how to be patient. You're not going to be delivered patience. You are going to be taught patience through experience. And for many people, that's hard because They say, okay, I want to manifest this thing, or I want to manifest this amount of money, or I want to manifest this type of business. And the person that you need to be in order to hold that stuff, you need to become her through experiences. And so then people will come to me and say, well, I wanted to manifest this thing and shit's hitting the fan. It's not working. And it's like, actually, it is working really well. That's what's happening. Like, God's
Mhm.
putting you in situations that are creating you into the person that you are asking to become. He's not just gonna like, okay, here you go, snap my fingers, like, you're good. Like, no, that's not how it works. And that's a hard lesson, I feel, because so much of the time it feels like things either, again, are quote not working or just testing you or whatever, when really you're just shifting identities into
Yes.
the person you need to become.
I love that. And it's so crazy. I feel like we're literally like in each other's brains right now, like frolicking through there because I remember like whenever I was still young. Like I don't know how young I was, but I remember I my mom whenever I was little told me, "Don't pray for patience because God will test you." And then I remember like later on I wanted to pray for patience because I was like feeling impatient and I was so mad at her. I was like, "Why would you tell me that?" Like, don't tell. And she's like, and then she explained that whole situation to me, and I'm like, what? Like, I feel like our expectations sometimes, and then like what God's plan is, are not the same. And it was like when, just like you said, when you started healing and when we started on our healing journeys, I remember feeling like so irritable and mad and just like always a chip on my shoulder, like that glass is half empty. And I asked God, like, please renew my heart, like, give me patience, like, change my mind. Like, I don't want to be like this. And I just remember like situations coming up and like happening, and I'm like, is there another way? Like, can we maybe do this but like a different way? Because this is not it. And and it was. And the same thing with I do, like you said, I want to hold space for anyone who's ever or is even right now going through it. Any situation where, especially in a religion or in a church, I feel like that is the one of the first places we go to hear from God and to have a situation happen where it's like we're shunned or hurt. It can feel so heartbreaking. And I want to say this, it's like just with lightness, there is darkness everywhere. So just because you're in a church doesn't mean there is not evil or doesn't mean there's not bad people. I would even say that it's like that's where the devil's trying his hardest because he knows like if you're trying to find God and you're just start praying and you're like, God, maybe I don't know how to talk to you and I don't know what to say, but like I need to hear from you, that you're gonna have the devil knocking at your door harder and louder because he knows, oh, what's happening? Like, no, 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 I gotta stop. I gotta work harder. It's like when you're having that breakthrough, and whether it's like you're manifesting something, and how you said the day you were getting your car, and I'm sure a million things happen. It's like, oh, all right, here comes the devil, like working his, and I'm like, I'm gonna get her. She's not gonna get this. Like when the breakthrough is about to happen, and when we're about to receive the blessing and God's guidance, and like this peace and presence of God, that's when the devil's going to try his hardest because he's scared. It's like he's losing someone to God.
Hmm.
So I feel like that's in the churches. It's like he's knocking in there, and he when you start talking to God and start praying or try and go to a church, or even if you've had a bad experience with the church and you're trying to heal it and you're like, God, I was mad. I was big mad at you and I don't understand, and you're trying again. It's like you may that memory may start popping up again and again and again, and it's like that's the devil trying. And in those moments I feel like just surrendering, and I've said to God, I'm like, I'm mad at you. I don't understand. Like I don't understand this. I don't know why you did this. Like please give me what I need, whether that's peace or understanding or strength, because I don't. I'm mad and I feel like I'm at a crossroads. Like please help me.
Yeah. I love that. And it's so interesting too because there are so many parallels between that and subconscious rewiring too. So it's like as soon as you start to shift into faith, shift into belief, you are just fighting shit off left and right. If
Yes.
it's not the devil, it's your subconscious mind trying to yank you back down like
Dude.
crabs in a
Oh.
bucket. It's insane. But what I
I love
will
that Florida
say,
statement.
it's a real thing. It's a real thing. If you look at crabs in a bucket, if one tries to get out, they all yank it right
Don't do this to my
in.
algorithm. Don't do.
I know you mentioned the alligator earlier. This was a previous conversation that we had where her algorithm was just like filled with alligators in Florida, and she asked if I was just seeing them all the time. I can't tell you the last time I saw an alligator, you
And
guys.
it's still happening.
Oh
There's
my
gators.
God.
I've just learned to embrace it. I'm like, we're one. I'm gonna get a little
The
gator
algorithm.
tattoo.
Oh my gosh, I'm dead. See, you belong in Florida. But this is a good time. I want to transition into something. I kind of touched on it a little bit before, but this is sort of like a multi-prong point that I want to make. There are going to be times where you're afraid of wanting more because you're going to be scared that you're not being grateful enough for what you have. And you said something about gratitude earlier that like made me want to dig deeper into this. But what I feel like I needed to hear back then, and once I kind of go through this, Kenzie, if you want to riff on this too, that'd be great. I know what it feels like to really want to surrender to God, to want to have a relationship with God, to want to have God in your life, while also being scared that you're being selfish by asking for more than what you already have and having like guilt around saying like I'm happy with my life, but I want more money, I want more clients, I want a new car, I want a new house, I want whatever. And what I really needed to hear back then was that God is not intimidated by you asking for things in life. I feel like implying that is almost diminishing God's power in a way. God's not mad at you for wanting more. God's not mad at you for having desires for a different life. And I'm a big believer that God placed those things on your heart to begin with.
Yes.
And to me, having a desire to do something that is kind of a big deal and is more than what you have right now is exactly what God's hoping you embrace so that you get to co-create with him. Like if you were just staying where you are right now and you were just chilling with what you have right now, you would kind of revert back to where you said you were, Kenzie, where you're like, oh, I don't need God. But if God puts a desire on your heart to build $1 million business, guess who you need to make it happen?
Exactly.
Because you're not doing that shit on your own.
You're gonna
Like
come like asking, knocking.
straight up. So it's not wrong to want abundance. It's not wrong to want amazing things. It's not wrong to trust your intuition. It's not wrong to have any of those things because all of it's probably coming from God in hopes that you lean on Him to be able to create that with Him.
I love that. I'm like, I swear. I'm like, I'm gonna schedule a trip to Florida because we are one. So something I do want to recommend because I was praying and I was praying hard and I feel like I've prayed this prayer for years. I was like, God, please, like I want to hear from you. I want to feel you. I want you to call me. You used to call me on myself.
Call me up,
Like,
God.
yes. And I was just like, I want to feel your presence more and I want to like be drawn to you more. And The Chosen, the show The Chosen. My mom was watching it and she's like, you need to watch this, you need to watch this. And I literally said, like, I don't have time. I hate TV. And I was like, I'm not watching it. Like, I need to be recording podcast episodes or I need to be building my business or like going. And she told me, she's like, you don't have an hour a day for God. And I'm like, okay, mom. And I was like, so then I felt all guilt tripped and we started watching it. And this show, I'm not even being dramatic at all. It changed my whole entire life. And I feel like gave me that like next level of healing and of just seeing God and hearing from God and really like getting what I needed to. And what you said and why this ties in when they were in Capernaum and they were chilling there. Like Jesus had basically won the town over. They were chilling, they were eating good, they all had houses and stuff. And he said, like, okay, we're going to the next city to share God's message and to get to the goal, to the point. And all of his disciples were like, well, why? Like, why do you want? And it was a town where like people hated him. It was like all these people against him. And they're like, why do you want to do that? Like, we're chilling here. And he said, like, we're not meant to stay here though. Like, we're meant to go to this next place and like and reach greater heights and speak to more people. And this is all part of God's plan. And I feel like this is us. Like this is literally our life. If we get like stagnant in, okay, yes, they can. Like if they would have stayed there and they already won the townspeople over, like they wouldn't have been preaching as hard because they already won them over. They're not trying to share that message so hard to win them over. But going to this new place, it's like they're working and they're going and they're in hustle and focus. So I feel like this is us. Just like you said, if I would have stayed there and chilled there, I would have been like, cool, God, thanks. I'm good. Got everything I needed. Like, peace out. But every single day, I feel like I'm working to do more, whether it's in business or being a better mom or a more present mom or just healing and growing in my faith and my spiritual journey. I need God because I'm like, I can't do this alone. And the same thing with them. When they were going into that town where people hated them, they needed God. So I just feel like when you said that, I that's what I thought of, and it's true. It's like in our growth moments is where we need God the most. And I feel like to let us be super grateful and not feel like that guilt of wanting more is to celebrate the gratitude and to be in a state. And that's one of the highest frequencies there is. So when we're in this place of gratitude, it's like it's literally like we're on the same wavelength. I feel like chilling with God. We're like, cool, thank you so much. I'm so grateful. And then it's also allowing us to like be open to receiving more blessings to be grateful for.
Yes, I totally agree. It's interesting because this is one of the things that I hear the most about. It's like sort of like the guilt versus gratitude thing. And this has been simplified so well. Like I really hope that if you're listening to this and this was something that you needed to hear, I really hope that it resonated with you because this whole topic, I feel, is very polarized on the internet. And these two things can coexist. And I know for you, Kenzie, you relate to this too. But like, I've never felt like I fit in with the super religious girlies, but I also don't feel like I fit in with the manifestation girlies who are totally like anti-God, anti-Jesus. And I don't think I'm not sure I've ever said this publicly. I'm sure I have at some point, but I used to teach at a Christian school. And so I was teaching religion. I was, you know, playing songs out of the hymnal all the time. And so I got very familiar with God and the Bible's teachings just through that alone, beyond going to church for years before that. But what I've learned from all of that combined with my business experience now in the sort of manifestation and mindset space is that you get to have your own walk with God separate from the polarization, separate from the rules. I say rules loosely because a lot of it's made up shit anyway. Separate from the shame, separate from religion, even. Like you can have a relationship with God in your own way without it looking identical to someone else's relationship with God. And I feel like I needed permission to do that back then. Like it took me a long time to be like, okay, me and God can have a relationship and I know that he gets it. Like he can handle my questions. He can handle my growth. He can handle me sort of kind of exploring this. I'm not going to shy away from building my own relationship with him by assuming that he can't, because that's wrong. So yeah, I feel like just to kind of start to wrap things up here, faith and manifestation are not opposites, and they're very much intertwined to me. And even things like prayer and visualization. You guys have heard me talk about visualization how many times? I don't even know. Prayer and visualization to me are like partners and buddies, super, super complementary. And you don't have to be the perfect Christian or the perfect anything. Like you can be on your own journey and that's
Mhm.
okay. Like it's allowed. That's enough.
Gosh, I'm like, mic drop on that one. And this is honestly everything you just said. This is why I built my whole entire brand because that's like my mission statement is not witchy enough to be woo, not holy enough to be religious because she is you.
Yeah, it's true.
And I feel like just
Love it.
like you said, just vibing out and God knows like you can't hide. So it's like you might as well just like fully, I feel like if you're on your healing journey, you're working to be better, whether it's just a better person in whatever way. And I feel like that's all God is like just wanting you to be your best and to live a good life. And that doesn't mean we're not going to make mistakes or do bad things. I say F, the F word, like I am a sailor on the seas. Could I stop that? Absolutely. I have a teenager who hopefully does not start saying it. But it's like that doesn't mean that God doesn't love me or that I'm not good enough to talk to God. And I feel like once people just start talking to him and just say like, I don't know how to talk to you, but like, please hear me, then that's whenever God starts opening doors for you.
Yeah, I totally agree. Don't force yourself into any kind of box here. I think that's really like our number one message here today. Don't force yourself into a box. Don't force yourself to do this alone. Like, you can have a connection to God that looks totally different from anyone else's. You can have your own peace and understanding with your own journey. And you can believe in God and manifestation at the same time, especially when it's manifestation in its actual form and not the fluffy shit that people are teaching on the internet.
I love it.
That's sort of my mic drop. You don't have to pick a side. You can be where we are in the middle, sort of a third side. And to me, life got so much more magical when I embraced both of those things at the same time anyway. And I felt so much more in my own like personal power
Yeah.
while also trusting God at the same time.
Yeah. Like so much more whole.
Yeah,
Like we're living out our purpose.
literally. So,
I love
Kenzie,
it.
where can people find you? Because I know they're going to want to. Where can they find you on the interwebs?
So you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at Kenzie Lewallen, the same on all of them. Or you can listen to my podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. It is called the She Is You podcast. And yes, I would love to hear more. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming, and I will see the rest of you guys next week. Definitely make sure you hit up Kenzie, and I will put all of her info into the show notes. And with that, my queens, I am going to wrap up today. I'll see you guys in the next one.